friction is a killer of productivity and focus. And I talk about this quite often. Basically, there are a lot of apps and services and so on, and people that basically pull you from one area to the other, and then you just basically lose focus. And what I've managed to do with my technology, the way I work with my workflow, is to get rid of the excess fat, basically, to get rid of the apps, services, notifications, and so on, that I basically don't need for my day-to-day running of my business or my life. Last week, I did a blog post about how I organize my desktop and what I have in my dock and so on, and how I work. And today, I want to show you what I do with my phone and what kind of apps I have and what I use my phone for. Because a lot of people have their smartphone, their iPhone, and they have tons and tons and tons of apps, and they're going from screen to screen to screen to find the app to actually work. Now, my iPhone setup changes kind of often, but this new one, since the new operating system came out with the widgets, is actually, and a couple of widgets have actually really helped me organize my phone and dial it into exactly how I need it. And I'm going to show you basically what's going on. Now, I'm going to put it up here. So this is my phone. This is the only screen, actually, I have. I don't have tons of screens with tons of apps all over the place. I have one screen that is, again, so dialed into exactly what I need and how I work. And to me, my iPhone is basically a reading device. It's a communication device, obviously, but it's also a kind of a get notes down kind of device, and I'm going to go through the different apps and why I've chose these apps on this screen. Other than this screen, we have the widget screen. There's a name for this screen, and I don't know what it's called, and I can't be bothered to know. But I have 3 widgets, and the number 3, plays a huge role in the way I do things as well. So, 3 widgets, self-explanatory what they are. The bottom one is basically a time zone thing, because I work with different clients in different time zones, so that kind of helps me do things. And the other side, which is basically the app library. So every other app that's on my phone that isn't in a screen is in here. So if I need an app, I can always go and get it. There are several apps here that I do use, but I don't need them on hand at all times, so they don't sit on this screen, on my one and only screen. Now, the things on here basically tell me what to do, and it enables me to do what I need to do when I pick up my phone. So we're going to start from the top. So the top widget is the calendar. I pick it up and I know what's going on. The next widget, which is things, which is my task manager, again, I can just look at my phone and go, oh, I need to do a few things. So pretty perfect in that sense. Now, working from the top, the phone and the messages, self-explanatory, I won't go into that. AI Writer and Notes, I'm going to come back to, because they're part of my workflow, so I'm going to come back to them as to what they're there for. The Safari self-explanatory, and Reader is basically my news reader, RSS reader, basically for articles and so on, things that I need to stay on top of, basically. And then LinkedIn and Twitter, and they're the only social media that I use, basically. So, and a lot of people say you shouldn't put social media apps, you should take off social media apps from your phone. And I'm actually the other way around. I believe your phone is the best place for the social media apps, because my computer is where I do my work. I don't want to be inundated in any way on my phone. Yes, you can close tabs on my computer. You can close tabs, but generally I don't open up Twitter or LinkedIn on my computer very often. I actually do everything I need to do on my phone. So I prefer it on my phone rather than on my computer. Right at the bottom in the dock, I have far left, which is Basecamp. The middle is Drafts app. I'm going to come back to that. And the far right is my email, which is hey.com. Now, there are 3 steps in getting my work done, basically. There's kind of a 4th one, but I'm going to show you what I mean. The 3 steps are to capture, to do, and then to archive. Once you've done it, put it somewhere. So capturing, I found I wasn't doing it well in my task manager, because there's this whole GTD thing, which I don't go by, where you capture everything, put it in your inbox, organize it, blah, blah, blah. To me, that's a headache, actually. For me, I need to be in a specific, the app that I'm in needs to do one specific task and one specific thing only. And if I'm putting ideas in my task manager and I go to my task manager, then in a way, my mind muddles as to what I'm actually doing. So I stay away from that. So I use drafts as my notepad, as my capture device, as my capturing area. So drafts is a fantastic app. Go and check it out. It does a lot more than this, but the way I use it is that whenever I open up my phone, I have a blank sheet of paper, and basically I can write anything I want and then send it to different places. I can tweet it from here. I can put it in my agenda. I can put it in my journal, for instance, etc. So I can literally go to one place, write down my thoughts, and then organize later, basically, or organize as I go. So Drafts app has actually really, really helped me, and that's why it sits in the dock, because every idea, thought, or whatever I come up with basically goes into Drafts, because from there, then I can put it into the right places, whether it's a blog post that I'm going to be writing, whether it's a video that I want to do. It always pretty much starts in Drafts. I don't care about spelling mistakes, and I make a lot of them. I make a ton of mistakes all the time, but I don't care. I just want to get it out of my head so my head can be free to do whatever my head needs to do, basically. So the second step is to actually do the work, and the doing is the task manager. So from Drafts, figuring out what I need to do, I make tasks, and pretty much every task, I would say 99.9% of the tasks in my task manager, I put a date on. I always date them. I don't tag them. I don't use filters or tags or anything like that. I date them and put them in one of 3 areas. And in each area, I do have projects, but these are 3 different areas, which again, 3 is the magic number. They are duplicated in my calendar and my folder structure and my notes app, which I'm going to come to. But they go into one of these areas, but they're pretty much always dated, because I treat my task manager as basically an unpaid assistant. So I tell my assistant what to do, give them the date to tell me when to do it, and it pops up and tells me what I need to do. And once I've done that, between that and the Notes app, between doing and archiving, there are a ton of other apps in the middle. So I'm not going to go through each and every app. I'm going to go through one of the ones that I use, which I really like. But pretty much everyone has their own work and how they work and the tools that they need. So there's no point me talking about every other tool, because everyone's job is obviously different. The way I do it with one specific thing is that I use IA Writer. I always call it AI Writer. My IA Writer to write my posts and articles and sometimes emails as well, because it helps. IA Writer is basically a real heavy on the focus. There's nothing there other than text, basically. It's a markdown writer. I'm not going to go into that, but basically it just helps me focus, and it syncs with the Mac version as well. So I can kind of start in this, or and then carry on my Mac. I do all my work on my Mac, not on this. If I'm somewhere and I have it, obviously because it's synced, because it's in here, I will then just write up a sentence or 2 within that app. So it's a fantastic app. It just really does help me with focusing when I'm writing. And then obviously from there, it goes into my notes, and I have the 3 areas again, which is personal, business, and work. I'm not going to go into them because to me they're private, so I don't want to bring them, show them basically. But in my calendar, again, business, personal, work, those three areas are pretty much mirrored in files and in my apps. So the thing is, there's no point in having the apps on your phone if they don't need to be there. There's no point being notified by an app if you don't need it. If you figure out the way you work, if you figure out the arc of the workflow that you need, you'll probably realize that 90% of the apps that you have, you can probably just get rid of. You just don't need. So I would just check your phone now, pick it up, have a look, see how tidy or messy it is, or messy or tidy it is, and try to understand what you do when you pick up your phone. What do you actually need your phone for? Do you work on your phone? Do you use it for your work? Do you do a lot of calls? Do you do a lot of emails, and so on and so forth? Figure out your flow, figure out your workflow, figure out the things you need, and basically just get rid of everything that you don't need. Because as I said at the beginning, you only have a certain amount of time, and you need to focus on the work in that period of time. So there's no point selling yourself short, basically, in giving away your time to something that you don't need to. Anyway, I'll leave it there. If you have any questions, please put them down below. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. There'll be a subscribe link or a form or something down below. If you have any questions, reply. I mean, if you get this as an email, reply to me or put a comment down below. Anyway, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.